name's Deanna Lyons, and I am a uh, mindful eating mentor, and I work with women who are health conscious and ready to make peace with food and love their bodies now, like right here, right now, in whatever iteration you find yourself in life. I also work with people who are stressed out and need some help with all sorts of different kind of life transitions. It seems like when the stress point gets really high, there's it's time to get, to have somebody help guide you through that. And last but not least, that I've been having a lot of fun with lately is people with pain and phobias like spider phobias or airplane. I just got off the phone with a client who was just terrified to fly, and she's now flown across the pond 3 times, and she's just astounded how it's done great things for her. So those have been some really fun things, because some of the other stuff can take a while, but some of these others can actually move fairly quickly for people. I helped a woman who was pregnant, who just found out she's pregnant, and she was having some pain, some serious pain that she was treated for, and had a surgical device placed into her spine to alleviate the surgical pain, but the pain was migrating other places. And I taught her some techniques, and she went to sleep that night. She woke up in the morning, woke up in the middle of the night, used what I had taught her, and the pain is gone. She can be happy with her pregnancy and not worry about taking narcotics and all these other things. She wasn't sure how she was going to navigate it. So these tools that I use both in the mindful eating process, I also use in stress management and alleviation of these other things that show up that just seem to haunt us. I became a mindful eating mentor. I called myself that this year. Just something that I've stepped into. I have had a weight issue really pretty much my whole known life. From when I was little, I was always what they called pleasantly plump. And then over the course of my lifetime, I got more and more pleasantly plump. I think when I was a child, there wasn't really much to worry about. But in the last, probably the last 20 years especially, the weight has packed on. And I sought out all sorts of different things in terms of diet and exercise, and I had varied degrees of success. And then at the same time, I was taking on more and more stressful work. And I finally gotten to a point where I was also seeking help for all the stress in my life. Not only was I worried about my weight, but the stress was also really starting to affect me. And in that process, I discovered a variety of tools, but in particular, there was a hypnotherapy class that I took, and I took it for stress management. And I had actually tried hypnotherapy in the past. It was the least successful thing I had done of all the alternate therapies, but what I was being taught in this class was vastly different, and it was really about mind-body connection. We spend a lot of time in our minds, and they're beautiful, amazing, tools, but they are not really, the mind is not a great master. And the body has all sorts of wisdom. And so these are really beautiful, amazing bodies that we have been gifted with, no matter what our size. We can be having this conversation and my mouth is moving and I don't even know how I'm making that happen. I can move my hands around and use my Italian part of my makeup to help aid the conversation. And I can smile and look at the beautiful, sun today. All of these things are happening no matter what my size is. And there's also things that are going on automatically and autonomically that the mind is really, the wakeful mind is not aware of. And there are so many cool tools available to us that can help bridge the gap and bring these two together. So when the mind and the body are coherent, the energy flows, and we can start to move in a direction that we want to. And so the thing that really got me going on the mindful eating piece is it's the one tool that I really couldn't find elsewhere. And there are people who are teaching mindful eating, but they teach it in form of becoming aware of the colors of the food and noticing the thinking about where it was manufactured and who cooked it and all of those things. And that is super beautiful. And I encourage that as well. And what is going on in your body when you see that food, when you smell that food, and maybe you're salivating. Maybe my phone is getting hot. But you know, maybe there's extra salivation, and that's okay. That's part of it. Or maybe you're completely disconnected from your body and you can't even feel it from your neck down when you sit down to eat. Those are indicators that things are going on when it's time to eat. Maybe when you sit to eat, if you notice you take a bite, but your thoughts are already 5 steps ahead or 20 steps ahead as to what is the rest of what's going on in your plate. So the mindful eating piece gives us an opportunity to slow it way down and not make our bodies or minds right or wrong, but observe it, become mindful, and understand and really take in the taste and take in what it is, whatever we're eating. You know, I don't teach people what to eat. That is not my skill. It's not my business. You know better what's going on with your body. You and your doctor will know better what you should be eating or not eating and finding those things. But if you could attune to when you eat it, not the guilt or the shame that you place upon what it is you're eating, but actually the taste, the texture, how your body feels when you eat whatever it is you're eating, you can become at choice. And I think that was the piece that I wasn't getting anywhere else. I had gotten little, pardon the pun, tastes elsewhere. Um, and um, I've put this together in a way that is helping me now. I'm on my own journey now. So that's why I call myself a mentor, because I'm right alongside my clients. I'm right alongside the people that I work with as this is a process and it's not, you know, it's a practice. It's not a perfect, and it is something that takes repetition and observation. And I'm finding as I'm starting to build a community that that's the other part of it, is building a community of people who start to get it from this perspective. Because there is still a tendency for people to want to go, oh yeah, well, you know, yeah, I can tell when I eat this sugar, you know, it's really bad for me and I'm going to be guilty and shameful for it. And that is a mindful experience, but it's only one part of it. It's not connecting the body and noticing what that is. Because maybe that first taste is really beautiful and you actually enjoy it. And what if you could just enjoy that bite? Maybe you only would want 2 or 3 bites, and so it's not shameful to have that. So it's walking the walk myself and sharing this with others and creating, you know, a space for people to do that together, where they're not judged and they can really be themselves, because I don't know how to be anything other than myself. It's kind of why I'm even jumping on this video with you. I don't have any makeup on. I was like, I don't have time, and I didn't grab my purse that has my lipstick in it, but here I am, and I accept myself just as I am, and I accept you as you are, and whether that's, you know, with our makeup or without our makeup, you know, with a lot of extra weight or not. And you know, we have a lot to live, we have a lot to experience, and I want to thrive and live my life, and I don't want to wait till I'm a certain weight. I'm going to do it right here, right now. You know, the our daughters and our youth today have been inundated with all sorts of messages, and we were too. I think our generation was sort of the guinea pig, if you will, where we started to watch TV, and there was this, there was more and more social media, whether that was TV or, through magazines and all these other things. And now this newer generation is even further inundated with all of these messages of, buy this, you don't, you need to look this way or be this certain way. And quite frankly, they've watched us struggle as well. And I also have a daughter. She's 22 years old, and for the most part, she seems to navigate it way better than I did. But she also has her version, whether it's sometimes it's with food and sometimes it's with other things. And over the years, I spent a lot of time trying to tell her what she should do. And some of that is important. We're moms, and we want and need to guide our children, and they look to us for that. And the best way we guide them is through our actions. And if my daughter can start to see me now shifting my relationship with myself, with my body, and with the way that I eat, I don't know that I have to say anything. I think at the end of the day, she's been around now long enough to start to absorb that, to pick that up. And I think just like all of this media and all of this attention has, created a momentum that has built where we feel less than within our bodies, I think we're just starting a new momentum, and it will take time, it will take practice, and it will take a collective to start to say, no, wait a minute, I'm not going down that road. And I think that's really kind of the best we can do, that I know, at least at this time. And that's why again, it's one of the reasons why I'm doing this for myself and for her and for our future generations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Find
think
our
that's
commonality. I was on a cruise last week or the week before, now I don't remember. Anyway, we were sitting down at the table, and the topic of politics came up, and we were a table divided. And the at the end, I just said, well, I believe in teaching people how to fish as opposed to giving them the fish. I mean, not that you don't sometimes give people fish, but at the end of the day, if you're going to really help people long term. And everyone said, yeah, yeah. And I said, why aren't we talking about that more? Why are we discussing all the other, hooplas? How do we build upon what we find commonality, in our commonality, and, you know, build from there where we want to go? The opportunity to take a look at each other and come from a place of understanding, listening, and as you said, really it's that listening to hear their other viewpoint, not in preparation for what the other person is going to say and how we're going to respond. Because if we do that, we've missed what they were really trying to express. But when we can slow it down, and most of us just want to be seen and heard and understood. And if somebody can do that for us, then all of a sudden we feel like we can look around and have new options. We don't have to fight back. We can actually then work together. And that's what I'd like to see more of. Yeah, I also work with people in terms of their fears and traumas. Trauma, can be something really large, like a major car accident, but it can also be little things that happen repeatedly, especially when we're growing up. And they're not necessarily meant to hurt us. Now, some people grew up in really abusive homes, and uh, there is physical and other, major forms of abuse. But there are also just little things that our little bodies and our little minds take in, that are little assaults on this young person and the way that they view life. And from the outside, it doesn't seem like, and especially from an adult perspective, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. But to a 2-year-old or to a 3-year-old, it's their whole world. Um, and particularly when it happens repeatedly, or if there were big events, like, I don't know, mom and dad get divorced, or you move, or when grandma dies. I mean, there's all different sorts of things that could happen that affect us in our childhood that are seemingly uh, inconsequential from an adult perspective, but they actually affect our nervous system. And it's that mind body connection that I was talking about earlier that gets kind of haywire and hijacked. And the body and the mind store that in kind of on your desk. Instead of in the archive system, it stores it right on top of your desk, and it has it ready to go get it in case there's a similar situation. And so somebody that's, tripped you up at work that says something, they're not necessarily doing the same exact thing, but it's tripped up that pattern that is stored and ready to react from your 3-year-old perspective. And you don't even know that you're doing it. You're so close to it that you think that that's not it. And when we can catch that and hold space for people in that and unravel it, beautiful things can happen. There's a ton of energy that is stuck in the past. And when we liberate that, using a variety of different tools, you have that available energy now to do new, different things and create your life in a different way. Um, and most of these patterns are stored in the unconscious mind, which is why you haven't figured it out yet. Because if it was conscious, you would have figured it out. So this happens both with trauma and also with different patterns that happen. And so whether it's something that's been repetitive, that actually can sometimes take longer than some of the bigger things where maybe there was a car accident, it was a singular event. We can go through, and I don't take people necessarily back into the specific trauma. There's usually we can address it more from afterwards and um, relieve the energetic pattern that got stuck in the body and in the mind, and connect the two and bring it forward to today, again, to release that energy, get the wisdom out of it, find out what else you might have needed or what you could have done differently, because we all have a habit of going back and, oh, I should have done this, could have done that. And we clean all of that up and liberate that energy so that you can move forward and live your best life today. um, I've also, worked with people. I had a woman who was struggling to go to the dentist and doing dental work. And uh, I did a hypnotic trance with her. I use hypnosis. I use EFT or tapping, somatic experiencing, energy work. I kind of have an eclectic blend of tools that I, use in my mix. So I never know exactly what I'm going to use until, I work with somebody. But we took her back and we cleaned up some things, using hypnosis, and she was able to go, and she had some major dental work coming up. And yeah, she was uncomfortable, but she wasn't in a state of panic when she was doing it. And so, it's been huge. I worked with another woman who had severe spider phobia. And she was to the point where she saw a spider where she was driving, she would let go of the steering wheel and it wouldn't matter where she was. So she had to do something about it. And um, in a handful of sessions, we used emotional freedom technique and some other energy balancing tools. And she she is now a spider catching fool. So it just depends. There's a wide variety of these things, different tools that I can use. The other thing that I love to do with anybody that is either, has had a traumatic birth, or both themselves or their children, there's a tool that I use. It's called Matrix Birth Reimprinting, and it's an opportunity to go back and sort of rewrite that story. Um, and so I use matrix reimprinting and matrix birth reimprinting in a lot of the work that I do as well. So what I hope you're hearing is that we may go back, we glean the wisdom, we bring support to the younger self, and then we come forward, and you have a whole new energetic pattern that now the mind and the body are connected to, and all that stuff that was stored on the desk that's no longer needed, it gets filed in the archive system, because most of this is created as a safety mechanism. And I don't know about you, but I want to keep all of my safety mechanisms on board. So if we're trying to get rid of them, get rid of them, get rid of them, those patterns actually get stronger and stronger, because it's designed to keep you alive. So how about we calm it down, clear it, find out what it needs, bring it the support that it needs, and it's still available should, that um, you know, truck that hit you, in the middle of the road ever come again, so that you still have the capacity to react if you need to. I just am super excited about what I see happening in the world today, and what you're doing, Bernice, is one of those things that we are being creative, and we're finding what makes our heart sing, even when we don't know exactly what that is. We're taking the leap and doing that, and I think that us doing that more and more and connecting with people all over the world, this gift of technology, can be used to harm others, but there's also this opportunity to really do great work and connect. And this world is smaller and smaller, and we get to know each other and understand each other and see these different viewpoints. And I think the more that we do this, the better the world gets. So thank you for giving me this opportunity and sharing this work with others as well.